Welcome to Buddhist Teachings. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by stress, regret, and the constant rush of life. Maybe you've experienced moments of disappointment or lost times when everything seemed out of your control. And sometimes in the quiet of the night you lie awake, your mind racing with worries about what's lost, what's gone, or what could have been. But what if you could shift your perspective? What if, just by understanding a few timeless lessons from the teachings of Buddha, you could find peace and ease in your heart, no matter the challenges life throws at you? In this video, we'll share powerful stories and insights that will guide you towards serenity. These stories are not just tales. They are gateways to a deeper understanding of how we can let go of the things that weigh us down and open ourselves to peace and wisdom. From learning how to embrace loss without sorrow, to discovering the hidden blessings in missed opportunities, and understanding the true value of giving, each story holds a key to unlock a calmer, happier, and more fulfilled life. By the end of this video, you'll feel lighter, more at ease, and ready to embrace tomorrow with a peaceful heart. Whether you're winding down after a long day or seeking guidance on how to live with more kindness and clarity, you're in the right place. So sit back, relax, and let these stories from Buddhist teachings guide you to a place of stillness, peace, and restful sleep. The law of karma, a lesson in compassion. In our everyday lives, there are moments when we may think that our actions are disconnected from each other, that they hold no real consequence. Yet, there are times when the threads of these actions are woven together in ways we could never have imagined, and the interconnectedness becomes crystal clear. This is the essence of the Buddhist teaching of karma, the law of cause and effect. The following story illustrates this principle beautifully. Nina, a 57-year-old woman from California, had a brief understanding of Buddhist teachings and, with a compassionate heart, decided to share food with the homeless. Every morning, she would prepare a delicious meal and place it outside her window, labeling it with a sign that read, "Free food for the poor." On the first day, no one took the meal. It seemed that no one had yet heard about her kind gesture. But on the second day, an elderly man, perhaps in his 70s, walked by, took the meal and said just one thing: "You reap what you sow. Sow goodness and goodness will find you. Sow harm and harm will find you." With that, he walked away in silence. This ritual continued for days. Each morning, Nina would hang a meal outside, and every day the old man would come by, take the food, and repeat the same phrase: "You reap what you sow." After a month of this, Nina started to feel disheartened. She had been sharing her food with good intentions, yet she had not received a single thank you or sign of appreciation from the man. She began to feel that her kindness was being taken for granted. Frustrated, Nina's feelings began to change. Instead of feeling gratitude and compassion for the old man, she began to harbor resentment. Her thoughts grew darker, and one morning, as she prepared the meal, she decided to mix in a laxative, hoping that the old man would suffer from it. But as she was about to hang the meal outside, a feeling of remorse washed over her. "What am I doing?" she thought. "This is not who I want to be." With a deep breath, she discarded the idea and hung up the meal as usual. Just as she did, there was a knock on the door. Surprised, Nina opened it to find her estranged daughter standing there, looking ragged, her face gaunt and tired, with dark circles under her eyes. She hadn't seen her daughter in years, and this moment caught Nina off guard. "What happened to you?" Nina exclaimed. "I thought everything was going well for you." Her daughter, tears streaming down her face, whispered, "I'm so sorry, Mom. I lied to you. My company went bankrupt a long time ago. I didn't want to disappoint you, so I didn't tell you the truth. I'm homeless, hungry, and I didn't have the money to come back to you." Before Nina could respond, the elderly man appeared outside her window, as he always did, to claim his meal. To Nina's shock, her daughter ran outside and embraced him. "Why are you here?" she asked, her voice filled with gratitude. "Do you know I'm here? You've saved my life." Nina stood there confused and asked her daughter, "What is going on?" "I don't understand." Her daughter looked at her with tears of gratitude. "This man," she said, "is the one who saved me. When I had no money, no food, he brought me meals every day. That's how I survived." The old man smiled gently and said, "I didn't know Nina or her daughter. I only know the teaching of the Buddha. You reap what you sow. That is the law of karma." In that moment, Nina's heart sank as she realized how close she had come to causing harm to her own daughter, all because of a fleeting moment of anger and frustration. Had she gone through with her plan, the consequences would have been devastating, not only for the old man but for the one person who mattered most to her: Buddha's wisdom. The Buddha once said, "Whatever a person sows, that he will reap." This teaching encapsulates the essence of karma. Every action, thought, and intention we put out into the world will eventually return to us, either in this life or the next. Karma is not a form of punishment or reward. It is simply the natural law that governs the outcomes of our actions. Lessons in our daily lives. This story reminds us of the subtle, yet powerful impact of our actions. How often do we find ourselves frustrated or upset because our kindness goes unnoticed? How often do we feel slighted by the lack of gratitude from others? These feelings, though valid, can cloud our judgment and cause us to act in ways that we later regret. Perhaps you've experienced a similar situation. You've worked hard on a project at work, giving your best effort, only for it to be met with indifference or even criticism. Or maybe you've extended kindness to a friend or family member, only to feel as if your efforts were in vain. These are moments when it's easy to let frustration build, and to think that your actions have no real consequence. But remember the wisdom of the Buddha. What we sow is what we will reap. If we continue to sow seeds of kindness, patience, and understanding, even when it feels unappreciated, the universe will respond in kind, even if it is not immediately apparent. Our efforts, though they may seem small or unnoticed, are never in vain. Advice for finding peace in difficult times. 1. Practice patience. When things don't go the way you expect, take a deep breath. Understand that everything is interconnected, and sometimes the results of your actions may take time to reveal themselves. 2. Let go of expectations. Release the need for validation or thanks. Give freely and selflessly, knowing that your actions are part of a greater flow of life. 3. Cultivate compassion. In moments of frustration, turn to compassion. Whether it's for yourself or others, understanding that everyone is doing their best can bring you peace. 4. Reflect on your actions. Before reacting out of anger or frustration, pause and reflect on how your actions will impact others. Choose kindness, even when it feels hard. In the end, the law of karma is not just about what comes back to us. It's about how we choose to live our lives. Let us strive to sow the seeds of compassion, kindness, and understanding. Who is really in control of our mind? Have you ever wondered who is truly controlling your mind? This next story may help illuminate that question for you. There was a man, an expert in horse training. He had the remarkable ability to tame even the wildest horses, those that were considered impossible to train. People were so amazed by his skill that they sought him out to ask about his secret. His answer was simple. I don't have some secret trick. I simply observe, pay attention to the habits and personalities of each horse. While some people didn't fully understand, and even others suspected he wasn't sharing some grand secret, the trainer simply smiled and continued his work. One day, to demonstrate, he approached a newly tamed horse. Everyone was curious to see what he would do next. The trainer stood in front of the horse, but to everyone's surprise, he wasn't holding any reins. The horse wasn't wearing a halter either. Yet, when the trainer mimicked the motion of holding reins, pretending to guide the horse with an invisible lead, the horse followed him obediently. This left the onlookers stunned. How could a horse follow someone without any physical control, without any reins? And then, a thought crossed their minds. Could it be that our minds are similarly controlled by invisible forces? Think about it. When we receive praise, we feel good. But when someone criticizes us, we feel upset. In that moment, we are controlled by fame. When we see others succeeding or being happier than us, we feel envious, sometimes even wanting to take what they have. In these moments, we are controlled by greed. When someone insults or belittles us, we might hold on to that anger for days. In these moments, we are controlled by hatred. We may believe we are free thinkers, but in truth, we are often led along by invisible strings of attachment, just like the horse led by the invisible reins. The Buddha often compared the mind to a wild horse. If it is not trained, it will run wild, following desires, anger, and ignorance. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha says, mind precedes all mental states. Mind is their chief. They are all mind-wrought. This means that every action, good or bad, originates in the mind. The mind itself may be formless, yet it controls all actions. If we don't train our minds, we are at the mercy of its habits and tendencies. So how can we take control of our own minds? The Buddha offers us 3 key methods. 1. Mindfulness, right mindfulness. The first step is to observe what our mind is attached to. What is it that controls our thoughts and reactions? 2. Awakening wisdom, right understanding. Recognize that everything that controls us, whether praise, success, or failure, is temporary and not worth clinging to. 3. Letting go, right letting go. Once we understand the impermanence of everything, we can stop believing in those invisible reins. When we stop reacting to illusions, we free ourselves. A horse doesn't know it's being led by invisible reins, and so it keeps following. Similarly, a person who doesn't realize that their mind is being controlled will continue running after desire, anger, and anxiety, never finding peace. Take a moment to reflect on your own life. Are you truly in control, or are you being led by invisible strings? Perhaps you've worked hard to buy an expensive item, only to grow bored with it days later. Maybe you crave praise, only to fear criticism. We might think we're making choices freely, but often, we are merely reacting to the pressures of society, family, and friends. In the Samyutta Nikaya, the Buddha says, if you are not free from greed, anger, and delusion, you will never escape the cycle of birth and death. This shows that if we don't take control of our minds, the world will control us. But when we master our own minds, we become free. Remember, no one can bind you unless you believe in those invisible reins. If today you are still controlled by external forces, then you are not truly free. If your emotions are still leading you, then you have not yet mastered your mind. But the moment you stop to observe and cease believing in these illusions, you will release those invisible reins. At that moment, you will have truly freed yourself, walking the path of liberation. This is the essence of awakening in Buddhism. Reflection and advice for daily life. 1. Pause and observe. Before reacting to something external, be it praise, criticism, success, or failure, take a step back. Ask yourself, what is controlling me right now? 2. See impermanence. Understand that all things, whether they're desires, achievements, or criticisms, are fleeting. They don't define you, and they don't have to control you. 3. Let go of attachments. Stop holding on to things that don't serve your peace. When you let go of attachment, you regain control of your life. The next time you feel anger, jealousy, or anxiety taking over, remember the trainer and the invisible reins. You have the power to choose whether to follow them or to walk your own path. In that freedom, true peace and wisdom are found. Even misfortune can be a blessing, a Buddhist story about trust and perspective. Sometimes, life throws us off course. Something we didn't expect happens, a broken plan, a painful loss, an unlucky day. And in the moment, we think, why me? But that unfortunate event was actually saving us from something far worse. This story might give you a new way to see it. Long ago, in a distant kingdom, there lived a king who had a deep love for hunting. He found peace and pleasure in the wild. One morning, as the sun lit up the sky, he rode into the forest with his soldiers and ministers to begin a day of adventure. But as the king chased after a deer, his horse stumbled. The king fell hard, and the accident left him with a broken finger. The hunting trip came to a sudden end, and the royal entourage turned back toward the palace. On the way home, the king looked at his injured hand and asked his companions, "Do you think this is a sign of bad luck?" Most of the ministers quickly agreed. They told the king how unfortunate it was. They expressed sorrow, tried to comfort him, and spoke as if this were a tragic event. But one minister, well known for his calm and optimistic nature, gently replied, "Your Majesty, I believe this injury might be a hidden blessing. Something good may come from this, though it's hard to see now." The king was surprised by the response. Some of the other ministers, however, were furious. They accused the man of being insensitive, even celebrating the king's pain. Stirred by their anger, the king punished the positive-thinking minister by sending him to prison. When the minister arrived at the prison gates, people mocked him. "You fool," they said. "You spoke kindly of a king's injury, and now look where you are." The minister responded calmly, "I only spoke my truth. And who knows? Maybe being imprisoned is a blessing too." People shook their heads. They thought he had lost his mind. But a year later, something remarkable happened. The king once again went hunting, this time in a more remote part of the forest. As they ventured deeper, he and his hunting party were captured by a remote tribe known for offering human sacrifices to their gods. The tribe examined the group and chose the king as the sacrifice. He was strong, healthy, and looked like a worthy offering. But just before the ritual began, the tribe's priest noticed something. "This man is missing a finger," the priest said. "He's not whole. The gods would be displeased." And just like that, the king was released. Because of his broken finger, the very injury that had seemed so unfortunate a year before, he was spared. When the king returned to the palace, he remembered the minister in prison. With a wave of his hand, he ordered his release and apologized sincerely. "You were right. The king said, "That injury saved my life." But the minister simply smiled and replied, "And I thank your majesty for imprisoning me. Because if I had gone with you on that trip, I might have been the one chosen as the sacrifice." This story may seem like a series of strange coincidences, but its truth is deeper than that. As the Buddha taught in the Dhammapada, mind is the forerunner of all actions. It is the chief. If one acts or speaks with a pure mind, happiness follows like a shadow that never departs. In Buddhist philosophy, everything arises from the mind, especially our suffering or our peace. What we see as bad often depends on how we think about it. The events themselves are neutral. It is our mind that adds the color of joy or sorrow. This story shows us that when we react with positivity, even in the face of pain, we plant the seeds for future peace. Let's bring this into our daily life. How often have you experienced something bad that later led to something better? Maybe you lost a job you thought you needed, only to find a better opportunity soon after. Maybe a relationship ended painfully, but helped you become more independent, wiser, and stronger. In the moment, we want to resist, but over time, we begin to see that the path life chose for us was the one we truly needed. Here are a few takeaways we can apply today. 1. Don't be too quick to judge events. Just because something looks bad now doesn't mean it will always be bad. Time reveals purpose. 2. Positive thinking is naive, it's powerful. When we shift our thoughts, we shift our energy. And that energy invites new, better outcomes. 3. Gratitude comes from perspective. Sometimes it takes hindsight to see the wisdom in what once felt like suffering. 4. Your mind creates the world you live in. If your mind clings to negativity, misfortune finds a home. But if your heart leans toward gratitude, you open the door to blessing. The Buddha also taught in the Samyutta Nikaya, if one does not overcome greed, hatred, and delusion, one cannot be free from the cycle of suffering. But if one masters the mind, one achieves liberation. So when something goes wrong, ask not, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead, ask, "What is this preparing me for?" Perhaps what looks like a punishment is actually your protection. Perhaps your broken finger is saving your life in ways you don't yet see. Let that thought bring you peace. Let it calm your heart during difficult days. Because true freedom comes not from what happens to you, but from how you see it, how you respond, and how you trust in the unfolding of your life. Today, may you choose to believe in the wisdom of each moment. And may every misfortune you meet turn out to be your greatest blessing. You do always have to be right. A Buddhist story about true wisdom. Have you ever felt misunderstood, like you were doing the right thing, only to be criticized or dismissed? It's frustrating, isn't it? That moment when you want to speak up, to argue, to prove that you're right. But before you do, I invite you to listen to this story. It may change the way you see those moments forever. In a quiet corner of the countryside stood an old monastery. At its heart lived an elderly monk, over 80 years old, who had spent most of his life in peaceful meditation and deep study of the Buddha's teachings. He was respected not for his power, but for his humility. He understood deeply the law of karma, how every thought, word, and action carries a consequence. One morning, just before sunrise, the old monk sat meditating beneath a bodhi tree in the courtyard. His eyes were closed, his breath steady. Then suddenly he opened his eyes and said to his disciples, "Prepare tea. Today we will have an unexpected guest." The students looked at one another, puzzled. But moments later, a stranger appeared at the monastery gate. He was well dressed, confident, and carried the sharp energy of someone who had won many battles in life. He approached the old monk boldly and said, "I'm a successful man from the city. I've built my life through sharp thinking and never losing to anyone. I heard people say you have deep insight into karma. Today, I came to test you." In his hand, the man held a small bird. Without warning, he hid the bird behind his back and asked the monk, "Tell me, is the bird in my hands alive or dead?" The monk remained silent for a few seconds. Then, with his eyes still half closed, he softly replied, "The bird is dead." The man laughed and triumphantly held the bird in front of him alive and fluttering. "You were wrong," he declared. And with a dramatic motion, he released the bird into the sky. "I've defeated you," he said. "So much for your wisdom." But the old monk only smiled gently and replied, "I never set out to win against anyone. You are the one who came here seeking victory." After the man left, the disciples, still confused, gathered around their teacher. "Master," they asked, "why did you say the bird was dead when you clearly knew it was alive?" The old monk answered with eyes full of compassion, "I saw that the bird was alive, but his purpose was not to test truth. He came to prove me wrong, no matter the cost. If I had said the bird was alive, he would have crushed it in his hands just to win. I chose to say the bird was dead to save its life." He paused, then added, "Buddha taught us about karma and compassion, not about being right. If being right means causing harm, then wisdom is lost. True wisdom only arises from a heart rooted in compassion." His disciples bowed deeply, realizing the weight of the lesson. This story is more than just a clever exchange. It is a powerful reminder that real wisdom doesn't come from winning arguments. It comes from asking, "What will my words lead to? What will my action create?" In the Dhammapada, the Buddha said, "Conquer the angry one with love. Conquer the liar with truth. Conquer the greedy with generosity, and the arrogant with humility." In other words, you don't defeat darkness by becoming dark. You don't win by hurting others just to prove a point. And yet, in daily life, we often find ourselves caught in small battles. At work, where a colleague misjudges our efforts. At home, where misunderstandings turn into cold silence. Or in relationships, where our desire to be right becomes more important than being kind. We've all been there, pushed to defend ourselves, to argue, to make someone see our side. But the real question is, what is the cost of being right? Do we lose peace? Do we lose connection? Do we harm someone we care about just to protect our pride? Here are 3 timeless lessons we can take from the monk's wisdom. 1. Pause before you react. Not every challenge needs your response. Sometimes silence is stronger than words. 2. Compassion is greater than being right. If proving your point causes harm, it's not worth it. Ask yourself, will this bring healing or more division? 3. Wisdom seeks peace, not victory. A wise person doesn't aim to defeat others, they aim to understand, to protect, to love. Next time you're in a disagreement, before you speak, ask, what will my words create? Am I protecting truth or just my ego? Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let go of the need to be right. Because true victory is not in crushing others with our correctness, it's in preserving peace, protecting life, and living with heart. So remember, when faced with conflict, you always have a choice, to escalate or to enlighten. And sometimes the most powerful answer is simply to smile and walk away. That is the way of true wisdom. That is the path of compassion. That is the Buddha's teaching. The power of giving. Why attitude matters more than the gift. In life, we're often told, be generous, be kind, give what you can. And so we do, sometimes with open hearts, sometimes with expectation. But have you ever given something to someone and still felt empty? Have you ever thought, I've helped others, so why do I still feel unhappy, unfulfilled, or even unlucky? If so, this story may hold the answer you've been searching for. Once, in a small neighborhood tucked away from the bustle of big cities, lived a disabled man who relied on the kindness of strangers to get through each day. That morning, like many others before it, he began his journey through the narrow streets slowly, humbly hoping to find enough support to make it through the day. His first stop, a bar filled with well-dressed men laughing and drinking. Their clothes and confidence marked them as part of the middle class, comfortable, maybe even successful. He walked up to one man at the corner table, bowed slightly, and asked, "Sir, could you spare something for me? I would be so grateful." The man, caught off guard, looked irritated. He leaned in and whispered, "Why me? There are so many people around, why ask me?" But when he noticed people at nearby tables were watching, his demeanor suddenly changed. He pulled out his wallet, took out $15, tossed it dramatically on the table, and said, "You're lucky I'm generous. Here, buy yourself something to eat." Then he turned to his friends and said loudly, "See, that's the kind of person I am, always giving." The disabled man bowed again and walked away in silence. Next, He passed a small fashion boutique. Through the glass, he noticed a woman organizing clothes inside. He approached her gently and asked, "Miss, could you spare a little kindness today?" Without hesitation, the woman smiled and took out $15. "You're lucky," she said kindly. "Last night I had a dream. A voice told me, if you want your store to succeed, help the poor, help the disabled." I believe this is the moment I was told about. She placed the money in his hand and added, "Please pray that my dream comes true." He nodded gratefully, placed both hands together, and whispered a sincere prayer for her prosperity and peace. Now holding $30 more than enough for his modest daily needs, he decided to head home. But on the way, something unexpected happened. An elderly woman, perhaps in her 60s, crossed the road to meet him. Her clothes were simple, her face kind, her eyes filled with gentle wisdom. She said softly, "I'm not wealthy, not even close. But when I see someone in need, I feel it deeply. You have so little, I still have more than you." She opened her worn purse and pulled out $30. "I'll give you 15, she said. "Don't thank me, just take it and be well." He hesitated. "Ma'am, I can't take this. You may need it more than I do." She smiled and said, "For someone like me, $15 doesn't change my life. But for you, it just might. Please take it without worry. I'll be okay." Overwhelmed, the man accepted the money and with tears in his eyes said, "I've been doing this for years and I've met many people, but your kindness, it feels different. It's not just the money, it's the way you gave it. You asked for nothing. You gave with love and prayed for my future, even though yours might not be secure." The old woman replied gently, "I may not have riches, but my heart is rich. Every day I help someone, I feel peace. Whether I have $30, 20, or 10, it doesn't matter. My joy doesn't depend on how much I give, but how I give it." So what can we learn from this? All three people gave exactly the same amount, $15, but their intentions, their attitudes, their energy were completely different. The first man gave out of ego. His generosity was a performance. The second gave out of belief, hoping her kindness would return as a blessing. But the old woman, she gave from a place of pure compassion. She expected nothing. She simply cared. And that is where the true power of giving lies, not in the amount, but in the spirit. The Buddha taught, it is not what we give that matters most. It is the purity of heart behind the giving. In Buddhism, this is known as giving with a mind of anatta, no self, no attachment. We call this dana parami, the perfection of generosity. It's not just giving things, but giving without pride, expectation, or judgment. So why is it that some people give and still feel empty? Because if your giving comes from a place of insecurity, need for recognition, or hidden agenda, it will never bring peace. But if you give freely, if you give simply because you care, even a little offering becomes vast. You feel lighter, You feel whole. Here are 3 lessons we can take with us. 1. Ask yourself why before you give. Ask, am I giving to impress, to receive something back, or to truly help? 2. Honor the receiver. When you give, don't make the other person feel small. Give with humility. Give with kindness. 3. Let go after giving. Don't cling to your generosity. Don't expect thanks. Just trust that the act itself plants a seed of goodness. Life isn't always fair, but when we give with a peaceful heart, we create our own fairness. We create meaning, and you don't need to wait until you have more. Even a kind word, a gentle smile, a sincere prayer, those are acts of giving too. As the Dhammapada says, how long is a life really? A Buddhist story about time, meaning, and legacy. Have you ever wondered how long a human life truly is? The simplest answer, of course, is time. Measured in years, months, days, 100 years if you're lucky. But once you subtract childhood innocence, old age forgetfulness, 1/3 spent sleeping, and the inevitable illnesses, we're left with far less time than we imagine. But what if the true measure of life isn't time at all? Today, I invite you to hear a story that may change how you see the length and depth of your life. In an old Buddhist monastery nestled at the edge of a forest, there lived a revered abbot. Not only was he well versed in the Dharma, he was also a skilled traditional healer. His temple had become a place where people came not only for spiritual guidance, but also for healing of the body. Each day, many pilgrims came from faraway villages seeking medicine and wisdom. But one particular morning, something unusual happened. As the sun poured through the temple courtyard, the abbot finished his incense offering and turned toward a young monk seated beside him, his devoted student who was quietly reading from the Amitabha Sutra. The young monk looked up and asked earnestly, "Master, in the Amitabha Sutra, it is said that in order to reach enlightenment, one must cherish the present moment and diligently cultivate. But I worry, what if I don't have enough time in this life to reach the final goal?" The old monk smiled, deeply understanding the anxiety behind the question. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he reached for a small hourglass and placed it on the altar. Grains of golden sand shimmered in the morning light as they passed steadily from top to bottom. He asked gently, "Look at this hourglass. Tell me, does it matter more how much sand is in each side or how the sand flows?" The young monk hesitated. "The amount doesn't change, only its position." The abbot nodded. "Exactly. Most people worry about how long they have, how many years. But they forget to ask, what does each grain of time become when it lands?" Then the abbot stood up, gestured for the student to follow, and led him outside to an ancient tree behind the monastery. Beneath its shade stood 3 stone markers, gravestones, each with a different name etched into them. The old monk said, "Let me tell you 3 stories, 3 lives, all different in length, but each one will show you something about the true measure of a life." He pointed to the first stone. This man was a wealthy merchant, born into privilege and skilled in trade. He spent his entire life gathering wealth, chasing opportunity after opportunity, deal after deal. By the time he turned 73, his riches were vast, but so was his worry. He became consumed with protecting what he owned, so much so that sleep became difficult. His health crumbled under the weight of his anxieties. In the end, as he lay dying, he looked at his mountain of gold and whispered, "What did I truly gain? What can I take with me after death?" The young monk murmured, "But Master, 73 years is a long life." The abbot replied gently, "It's long in number, yes. But his life was like grains of sand that never flowed, stuck in place by fear and attachment. He gained wealth but never wisdom. His days were many, but their value hollow." Then the old monk gestured to the second stone. This belonged to a hermit monk. Disillusioned by worldly noise, he fled to a mountain cave. For decades he meditated in silence. He mastered breathing, mindfulness, and inner stillness. He read the ancient texts and reached deep levels of insight. He lived to be 92, and just before he passed, he whispered, "I lived purely. I caused no harm. I leave with peace." The student raised his eyebrows. "That sounds beautiful. Was it not a good life?" The abbot sighed. "It was peaceful, yes. But like a pristine stream that never flowed beyond its banks, he kept his wisdom to himself. He healed no one. He taught no one. His enlightenment was personal, but it never became medicine for the world. His sand was gathered but never shared." Finally, the old monk turned to the third and final stone. This man was a healer, not wealthy, not famous. He traveled from village to village, even remote places others feared to go, bringing medicine and hope. He saved countless lives. But more than that, he taught his healing skills to others. His knowledge lived on through every person he trained. Some say he saved not just lives but entire communities. He died at 65. At his funeral, hundreds came. Many of them cried not from sadness but gratitude. Before he passed, he said simply, "There's nothing I regret. What I set out to do, I've done." The young monk's eyes brightened. He lived a shorter life, but he gave so much. The abbot nodded slowly. Yes, his life was like sand flowing through the hourglass, every moment meaningful. He didn't just live for himself. He created a ripple, one that continues far beyond his years. The abbot placed his hand on the student's shoulder and said softly, "You see, my child, the length of life doesn't lie in the years you count. It lies in the lives you touch, the wisdom you share, the joy you create, the healing you give." The student bowed deeply, tears forming in his eyes, not from sorrow but from understanding. "So now I ask you, dear listener, how are the grains of your life falling? Do you fear time slipping away, or do you shape each moment into something that matters? Remember, Even a single day lived with compassion and purpose is worth more than a century spent chasing empty dreams. Buddha once said, "A day lived mindfully and with kindness is more valuable than 100 years lived without wisdom or purpose." When the Buddha passed into parinirvana at the age of 80, his body left the world, but his teachings still flow like a river through the true essence of meditation. Under the shade of the Bodhi tree, sunlight streamed through the leaves, casting dancing patches of light on the earth below. In this serene setting, an elderly monk sat in stillness, his eyes half closed, as if he were one with the surrounding nature. Nearby, a young monk was gently sweeping the fallen leaves, his broom moving in a steady, rhythmic pattern. The young monk, with a voice as clear as the flowing stream, turned to the elder and asked, "Master, I've heard that meditation is about being awake in every action. So why do you sit here so quietly? Doesn't that contradict the very essence of meditation?" The elder monk smiled, his eyes opening to reveal a deep sense of calm and wisdom. "My child," he began, "meditation is not found in external forms, but in the state of the mind within. Sitting in meditation is just a tool to help us return to our true nature," he continued. "It helps us settle the mind to become fully aware of each breath, each sensation." The young monk hesitated, but then spoke, "But when I sweep the leaves, I too feel a sense of calm and stillness." "So is sweeping leaves also a form of meditation?" The elder monk nodded. "Yes, indeed. Meditation is not limited to sitting still. It is about bringing awareness to every action, no matter how small. When you sweep the leaves with a fully present mind, free of distraction, judgment, or comparison, that is meditation." A moment of realization passed through the young monk's mind. His eyes brightened as he continued sweeping, but this time, each movement was slower, more deliberate, more mindful. He could feel each leaf falling, the breeze brushing past, and the birds singing in the distance. It was as if he had merged with the entire universe, feeling life flowing in every cell of his being. The elder monk looked on with a tender gaze, knowing that the young monk had touched the doorway to meditation, not a distant doorway, but one that opens from within, through mindfulness and awareness in every moment of life. Meditation is not a religion. It is not a lofty or complicated practice. Meditation is life itself, each breath, each moment, each awareness of the present. It is the realization that when we live fully in the present moment, without clinging to the past or worrying about the future, we are living in meditation. As the Buddha once said, "Do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment." Lessons for our lives. Many of us get caught up in the hustle of daily life, constantly juggling work, family, and other responsibilities. We often feel overwhelmed by the pressure to do more, achieve more, and be more. In such moments, we may forget the simple yet profound practice of mindfulness, of being truly present in whatever we do. Like the young monk in the story, we may think that meditation is something distant, something we can only experience by sitting still for hours. But the truth is, we can practice meditation in everything we do, whether it's in our work, family, or even during the most mundane tasks. When you feel stressed or anxious, try to focus on what you're doing right now. Whether you're typing at your desk, washing dishes, or taking a walk, bring your full attention to that moment. Notice the sensation of your hands, the sound around you, the rhythm of your breath. This practice of being fully present is meditation in action. In challenging moments when life feels overwhelming, remember the words of the Buddha. The mind is everything. What you think you become. By practicing mindfulness and being present, you can create peace within yourself, no matter what external challenges you face. Don't try to control everything, and don't worry about what's ahead. Simply be in the moment, and you will find that peace and clarity will follow. Practical tips for finding peace in daily life. 1. Focus on one task at a time. In the rush of everyday life, we tend to multitask and get distracted. Try focusing on one thing at a time and giving it your full attention. 2. Practice mindful breathing. Take a few moments throughout the day to close your eyes, take a deep breath, and simply be aware of your breathing. This can help you calm your mind and refocus. 3. Let go of perfection. Life is not about being perfect, but about being present. Let go of the need to control everything and trust the process of life. Remember, just as the young monk found stillness in the simple act of sweeping leaves, you too can find peace in your daily actions. Through mindfulness, the noise of life becomes a symphony of tranquility, and in the present moment, you can truly be at peace. Love through the eyes of a Zen master. The temple bell rang softly, its chimes resonating like a gentle breeze. In the small meditation hall, the smoke from the tea lingered in the air, creating an atmosphere of calm and peace. The two monks sat facing each other. It was Valentine's Day, and the romantic energy seemed to have touched even the grass and stones around the temple. The young disciple, his heart filled with questions, finally spoke. "Master, what is love?" The Zen master, whose eyes seemed to contain the vastness of the sky, responded slowly. "Love is the lover, the enemy, and the stranger." The young disciple's eyes widened in surprise. "How can this be, Master?" The Zen master smiled, took a sip of his tea, and said, "When two people are in love, they are lovers. When they betray each other, they become enemies. When they grow distant and view each other as strangers, they are no longer companions." The young disciple, though puzzled, nodded. Still, there were lingering questions. "But why does it end this way, Master?" The Zen master placed his teacup down with a soft clink, and his voice grew serious. Love arises from the desire to possess. When there is desire, attachment follows. We want to control, to possess, to make the other person belong to us. And when things don't go as we wish, the master continued, distrust arises. Jealousy, anger, and conflict tear apart what was once a beautiful bond. Trust is lost, and both are left wounded, sometimes even destroying one another. The young disciple sighed deeply. Why can't they cherish each other? If they cannot be together, why not just part ways and wish each other well? The Zen master looked out into the distance, his gaze thoughtful. There are many who act without reason, and few who understand the deeper truths. Many are selfish, while the selfless are a rarity. Many assert their own ego, but few step into the shoes of others to see things from their perspective. When someone begins their journey of suffering because of love, the Master continued, they do not understand that they will face many ups and downs. In the beginning, it feels like spring. Everything is beautiful, fresh, and full of life, like flowers blooming and leaves sprouting. But soon comes the summer, and the conflicts begin to arise as the faults of the other become clear. It's like leaves growing old and flowers wilting. Then comes autumn, and the connection becomes cold, as if the trees have shed their leaves, leaving only barren branches. And finally, winter arrives, the Master concluded, when the warmth of love is gone. There is no longer any comfort in each other's presence, and coldness envelops the relationship. They forget to nourish and warm each other. They fail to understand that a happy relationship is not only based on love but also on responsibility, compassion, and mutual understanding. Yet this cycle continues, he said with a sigh. They seek out new relationships, only to walk the same path, repeating the cycle again. Just as winter fades into spring, so too does this cycle of desire and attachment continue. This is the river of human longing and desire, and it is the root cause of samsara, the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. The sound of the temple bell echoed again, a reminder of the impermanence of life. Everything in the universe is constantly changing in every passing moment. This is why the Buddha taught, we must learn to live with an unwavering heart amidst the ever-changing world. Lessons for our lives. In our fast-paced world, love often feels like something we chase, something we seek to hold onto tightly. We desire to possess, to control, and to make others conform to our expectations. But as the Zen master teaches, love that is rooted in desire and attachment leads to suffering. In the beginning, love feels like a blooming flower, new, exciting, and full of promise. But over time, when we fail to nurture it with understanding, trust, and compassion, it withers like the leaves of autumn, and coldness sets in. The true nature of love is not to possess or control, but to cherish and respect the other person for who they truly are, allowing them to grow alongside us. So often, we find ourselves repeating this cycle. We search for love, only to lose it, and then search again, never realizing that the cycle itself is what causes our suffering. The Buddha teaches us to break free from this cycle by learning to live in the present, to love without attachment, and to understand that true peace comes not from clinging to others, but from finding peace within ourselves. In the midst of challenges, remember the Buddha's teaching. You must live with an unwavering heart amidst the ever-changing world. Practical tips for love and peace in daily life. 1. Let go of expectations. Love does not exist to fulfill your expectations. It is about understanding and acceptance. Let go of the need to control or change others. 2. Practice compassion and understanding instead of blaming or judging. Try to step into the other person's shoes and see things from their perspective. Compassion is the foundation of any lasting relationship. 3. Embrace the strange cycle of humanity and the path to wakefulness and true happiness. Under the shade of the great Bodhi tree, the golden rays of the setting sun filtered through the leaves, casting soft light onto the serene face of the elderly monk. Before him, a young man with a troubled expression knelt, his heart heavy with confusion. "Master," the young man began, "what is the true purpose of life? I find life so strange, so difficult to understand. I've worked hard, strived so much for my own success, yet I still don't feel truly happy." The old monk smiled gently, his eyes distant, as though he could see through the young man's soul. "What makes life strange, my child?" The monk paused, then spoke slowly. "When people are young, they long to grow up quickly. And yet, when they become adults, they regret the childhood they've lost. They pour all their energy into making money, only to spend that very money to buy back the health they've lost along the way. They worry about the future and forget to enjoy the happiness of the present. They live as though they will be immortal, only to face death and realize they have never truly lived." The young man was silent, the words of the monk touching the deepest corners of his heart. He thought back to his own life, his youth spent chasing success, sacrificing time and health to achieve more. He had missed countless precious moments with family and friends, overlooked the simple joys of life. Now, even though he had everything he thought he wanted, he felt empty, lost. His health had deteriorated, and the relationships around him had become distant and cold. He realized with great sadness how much he had lost on the path to happiness. The old monk placed a comforting hand on the young man's shoulder, his voice warm like a gentle breeze. People often chase after fleeting things, forgetting the true value of life. Happiness is not found at the end of the journey, but in every step along the way. Treasure each moment, love those around you, and live each day as though it were your last. The young man bowed his head, tears streaming down his face. He now understood that he had been living in a long, self-created dream, a dream where he had wasted so much time on meaningless pursuits, while neglecting the things that truly mattered. He thanked the old monk and walked away with a newfound sense of clarity, hope, and determination. He knew that change was still possible, that he could still reclaim the happiness he had lost. From that moment on, he vowed to slow down, to appreciate each moment, to cherish the people in his life, and to live fully as though each day were his last. Though the dream of his old life had shattered, he had discovered a new light, one that would guide him to true happiness. The cycle of life and the path to true happiness. The story of the young man is a reminder that we often spend our lives chasing after what we think will bring us happiness, success, wealth, recognition, only to find that these external achievements don't fulfill our deeper longing for meaning and contentment. In the pursuit of these things, we overlook the simple joys that surround us, the people who matter most, and the present moment that is the only time we truly have. As the Buddha taught, do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment. The strange cycle of life, as described in the story, is one where we are constantly seeking more success, more money, more possessions, believing that these will bring us happiness. But in doing so, we often forget that true happiness does not lie in the destination, but in the journey itself. The pursuit of external things leaves us empty, and when we realize this, it may be too late to recover what we've lost. Lessons for our lives. 1. Embrace the present moment. We often become so consumed with the past or the future that we forget to live in the present. Each moment is precious, and true happiness can only be found by living fully in the here and now. Practice mindfulness and savor the present. 2. Value the simple things. Happiness is not in material wealth or achievements, but in the small, everyday moments, time spent with loved ones, moments of peace and personal growth. Don't overlook these. 3. Let go of attachment. The young man chased success and wealth, believing it would bring him fulfillment. But true happiness comes from letting go of attachment to external things and finding peace within. Be content with what you have, and trust that life will unfold as it should. 4. Cultivate gratitude and compassion. Appreciate the people in your life and be grateful for the small joys you experience each day. Compassion for others and for yourself is key to creating a meaningful and fulfilling life. 5. Live as if each day were your last. This may sound morbid, but it's a powerful way to remind yourself to live fully. Don't wait for the perfect time or the perfect circumstances. Live each day with intention, love, and mindfulness. Practical tips for living with awareness and happiness. Take breaks. Don't allow yourself to become so consumed by work that you forget to take care of yourself. Slow down, breathe, and reconnect with what really matters. Practice mindful breathing. Whenever you feel overwhelmed, pause and focus on your breath. This simple practice can help you return to the present moment and find calm. Express gratitude. Start each day by acknowledging the things you are grateful for. This simple act shifts your focus away from what you lack and reminds you of what you already have. By embracing these practices, you can break free from the endless cycle of pursuit and find the happiness that comes from within. Just as the young man discovered, true fulfillment comes not from external achievements but from living a life of mindfulness, gratitude, and presence. The strange cycle of humanity and the path to wakefulness and true happiness. Under the shade of the great Bodhi tree, the golden rays of the setting sun filtered through the leaves, casting soft light onto the serene face of the elderly monk. Before him, a young man with a troubled expression knelt, his heart heavy with confusion. "Master," the young man began, "what is the true purpose of life? I find life so strange, so difficult to understand. I've worked hard, strived so much for my own success, yet I still don't feel truly happy." The old monk smiled gently, his eyes distant, as though he could see through the young man's soul. "What makes life strange, my child?" The monk paused, then spoke slowly. "When people are young, they long to grow up quickly. And yet, when they become adults, they regret the childhood they've lost. They pour all their energy into making money, only to spend that very money to buy back the health they've lost along the way. They worry about the future and forget to enjoy the happiness of the present. They live as though they will be immortal, only to face death and realize they have never truly lived." The young man was silent, the words of the monk touching the deepest corners of his heart. He thought back to his own life, his youth spent chasing success, sacrificing time and health to achieve more. He had missed countless precious moments with family and friends, overlooked the simple joys of life. Now, even though he had everything he thought he wanted, he felt empty, lost. His health had deteriorated, and the relationships around him had become distant and cold. He realized with great sadness how much he had lost on the path to happiness. The old monk placed a comforting hand on the young man's shoulder, his voice warm like a gentle breeze. People often chase after fleeting things, forgetting the true value of life. Happiness is not found at the end of the journey, but in every step along the way. Treasure each moment, love those around you, and live each day as though it were your last. The young man bowed his head, tears streaming down his face. He now understood that he had been living in a long, self-created dream, a dream where he had wasted so much time on meaningless pursuits, while neglecting the things that truly mattered. He thanked the old monk and walked away with a newfound sense of clarity, hope, and determination. He knew that change was still possible, that he could still reclaim the happiness he had lost. From that moment on, he vowed to slow down, to appreciate each moment, to cherish the people in his life, and to live fully as though each day were his last. Though the dream of his old life had shattered, he had discovered a new light, one that would guide him to true happiness. The cycle of life and the path to true happiness. The story of the young man is a reminder that we often spend our lives chasing after what we think will bring us happiness, success, wealth, recognition, only to find that these external achievements don't fulfill our deeper longing for meaning and contentment. In the pursuit of these things, we overlook the simple joys that surround us, the people who matter most, and the present moment that is the only time we truly have. As the Buddha taught, do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment. The strange cycle of life, as described in the story, is one where we are constantly seeking more success, more money, more possessions, believing that these will bring us happiness. But in doing so, we often forget that true happiness does not lie in the destination, but in the journey itself. The pursuit of external things leaves us empty, and when we realize this, it may be too late to recover what we've lost. Lessons for our lives. 1. Embrace the present moment. We often become so consumed with the past or the future that we forget to live in the present. Each moment is precious, and true happiness can only be found by living fully in the here and now. Practice mindfulness and savor the present. 2. Value the simple things. Happiness is not in material wealth or achievements, but in the small, everyday moments, time spent with loved ones, moments of peace and personal growth. Don't overlook these. 3. Let go of attachment. The young man chased success and wealth, believing it would bring him fulfillment. But true happiness comes from letting go of attachment to external things and finding peace within. Be content with what you have, and trust that life will unfold as it should. 4. Cultivate gratitude and compassion. Appreciate the people in your life and be grateful for the small joys you experience each day. Compassion for others and for yourself is key to creating a meaningful and fulfilling life. 5. Live as if each day were your last. This may sound morbid, but it's a powerful way to remind yourself to live fully. Don't wait for the perfect time or the perfect circumstances. Live each day with intention, love, and mindfulness. Practical tips for living with awareness and happiness. Take breaks. Don't allow yourself to become so consumed by work that you forget to take care of yourself. Slow down, breathe, and reconnect with what really matters. Practice mindful breathing. Whenever you feel overwhelmed, pause and focus on your breath. This simple practice can help you return to the present moment and find calm. Express gratitude. Start each day by acknowledging the things you are grateful for. This simple act shifts your focus away from what you lack and reminds you of the strange cycle of humanity and the path to wakefulness and true happiness. Under the shade of the great Bodhi tree, the golden rays of the setting sun filtered through the leaves, casting soft light onto the serene face of the elderly monk. Before him, a young man with a troubled expression knelt, his heart heavy with confusion. "Master," the young man began, "what is the true purpose of life? I find life so strange, so difficult to understand. I've worked hard, strived so much for my own success, yet I still don't feel truly happy." The old monk smiled gently, his eyes distant, as though he could see through the young man's soul. "What makes life strange, my child?" The monk paused, then spoke slowly. "When people are young, they long to grow up quickly. And yet, when they become adults, they regret the childhood they've lost. They pour all their energy into making money, only to spend that very money to buy back the health they've lost along the way. They worry about the future and forget to enjoy the happiness of the present. They live as though they will be immortal, only to face death and realize they have never truly lived." The young man was silent, the words of the monk touching the deepest corners of his heart. He thought back to his own life, his youth spent chasing success, sacrificing time and health to achieve more. He had missed countless precious moments with family and friends, overlooked the simple joys of life. Now, even though he had everything he thought he wanted, he felt empty, lost. His health had deteriorated, and the relationships around him had become distant and cold. He realized with great sadness how much he had lost on the path to happiness. The old monk placed a comforting hand on the young man's shoulder, his voice warm like a gentle breeze. People often chase after fleeting things, forgetting the true value of life. Happiness is not found at the end of the journey, but in every step along the way. Treasure each moment, love those around you, and live each day as though it were your last. The young man bowed his head, tears streaming down his face. He now understood that he had been living in a long, self-created dream, a dream where he had wasted so much time on meaningless pursuits, while neglecting the things that truly mattered. He thanked the old monk and walked away with a newfound sense of clarity, hope, and determination. He knew that change was still possible, that he could still reclaim the happiness he had lost. From that moment on, he vowed to slow down, to appreciate each moment, to cherish the people in his life, and to live fully, as though each day were his last. Though the dream of his old life had shattered, he had discovered a new light one that would guide him to true happiness. The cycle of life and the path to true happiness. The story of the young man is a reminder that we often spend our lives chasing after what we think will bring us happiness, success, wealth, recognition, only to find that these external achievements don't fulfill our deeper longing for meaning and contentment. In the pursuit of these things, we overlook the simple joys that surround us, the people who matter most, and the present moment that is the only time we truly have. As the Buddha taught, do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment. The strange cycle of life, as described in the story, is one where we are constantly seeking more success, more money, more possessions, believing that these will bring us happiness. But in doing so, we often forget that true happiness does not lie in the destination, but in the journey itself. The pursuit of external things leaves us empty, and when we realize this, it may be too late to recover what we've lost. Lessons for our lives. 1. Embrace the present moment. We often become so consumed with the past or the future that we forget to live in the present. Each moment is precious, and true happiness can only be found by living fully in the here and now. Practice mindfulness and savor the present. 2. Value the simple things. Happiness is not in material wealth or achievements, but in the small, everyday moments, time spent with loved ones, moments of peace and personal growth. Don't overlook these. 3. Let go of attachment. The young man chased success and wealth, believing it would bring him fulfillment. But true happiness comes from letting go of attachment to external things and finding peace within. Be content with what you have, and trust that life will unfold as it should. 4. Cultivate gratitude and compassion. Appreciate the people in your life and be grateful for the small joys you experience each day. Compassion for others and for yourself is key to creating a meaningful and fulfilling life. 5. Live as if each day were your last. This may sound morbid, but it's a powerful way to remind yourself to live fully. Don't wait for the perfect time or the perfect circumstances. Live each day with intention, love, and mindfulness. Practical tips for living with awareness and happiness. Take breaks. Don't allow yourself to become so consumed by work that you forget to take care of yourself. Slow down, breathe, and reconnect with what really matters. Practice mindful breathing. Whenever you feel overwhelmed, pause and focus on your breath. This simple practice can help you return to the present moment and find calm. Express gratitude. Start each day by acknowledging the things you are grateful for. This simple act shifts your focus away from what you lack and reminds you of what you already have. By embracing these practices, you can break free from the endless cycle of pursuit and find the happiness that comes from within. Just as the young man discovered, true fulfillment comes not from external achievements but from living a life of mindfulness, gratitude, and presence. What is the most precious thing in life? In a peaceful village long ago, there lived a family who had a son known for his sharp intellect. By the age of 16, the young man had already developed a sense of purpose and knew that before building his own family and securing a bright future, he needed to seek wisdom. He decided to leave his home and study under a wise monk at a nearby monastery, where a renowned Zen master resided. One day, in the serene and tranquil monastery, under the shade of an ancient Bodhi tree, the Zen master decided it was time to test his young disciple's wisdom. The master looked kindly at the young man who was kneeling before him, awaiting his guidance. The Zen master's voice, calm and steady, filled the air. "My child, tell me, what is the most precious thing in life?" The young disciple paused for a moment, then replied, "Master, I believe the most precious thing in life is that which is lost, for it can never be regained." The Zen master smiled gently and said, "Is that so? Time will reveal the truth to you, my child." And so, time passed. The young disciple diligently studied under his master, practicing daily and immersing himself in the path of wisdom. Years later, war and chaos struck, and the monastery was destroyed. The Zen master and his fellow monks were lost, and the young disciple was the only one to survive. The disciple wandered alone, experiencing the harsh realities of life. During this time, he often thought about the things he had lost: the wisdom, the peaceful life at the monastery, and his beloved master. One day, the young disciple returned to the ruins of the monastery, which now lay in ruins, broken and abandoned. As he stood among the debris, he suddenly saw the familiar figure of his master, sitting in meditation beneath a still-standing Bodhi tree. Filled with joy and disbelief, the young disciple rushed to his master, his voice trembling with emotion. "Master, I thought you were gone forever." The Zen master, still wearing the same gentle smile, turned his eyes to the young man and asked, "Now, my child, tell me, what is the most precious thing in life?" The young disciple, now older, wiser, and full of life's experiences, knelt before his master. With deep sincerity, he said, "Master, the most precious thing in life is what we have right now, the present moment, the breath we take, and the people we cherish." The Zen master nodded, his eyes shining with quiet joy. The disciple had finally understood the truth of life. The wind blew gently through the ruins, carrying the distant sound of a temple bell. The young disciple now understood. The most precious thing in life is not what is lost or what has yet to come, but what we have in the present moment. It is the breath we take, the beating of our hearts, and the loved ones who are by our side. He had learned to appreciate each moment and to live fully, without regret for the past or fear of the future. Lessons from the story. This story serves as a profound reminder of the importance of the present moment. We often spend our lives chasing what we believe is the most precious thing, be it success, wealth, or status, while overlooking the simple joys that surround us. We might even mourn things we've lost or worry about what we do not have yet, forgetting that the present moment is where true value lies. As the Buddha taught, do not dwell in the past, Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. The young disciple's journey mirrors the experience many of us face in life. In the pursuit of goals, we often lose sight of what is truly important: our loved ones, our health, and the beauty of the present moment. When we lose something, we realize too late how valuable it was. Similarly, we may neglect the present, thinking that happiness will be found in the future, only to discover that the future is uncertain and the present was the true gift. Practical lessons for our lives. 1. Embrace the present. Stop chasing after future achievements or lamenting the past. The most valuable thing we have is the present moment. Focus on what is happening now and appreciate it fully. 2. Value the simple things. True happiness is not found in grand achievements or possessions. It's found in the simple, everyday moments: time spent with family, the warmth of a smile, the sound of laughter. 3. Stop worrying about what's lost or what's yet to come. Life is full of losses and uncertainties. Don't let regret or anxiety cloud the present. Accept the present for what it is, and let go of what you cannot control. 4. Cherish relationships. The people we love and who love us are the greatest treasures in life. Spend time with them, show appreciation, and create memories with those who matter most. 5. Live mindfully. Practice mindfulness in everything you do. Whether you're working, eating, or simply walking, be fully present. Living mindfully allows you to appreciate every moment and find peace in the ordinary. Final thought. Just as the young disciple learned, the most precious thing in life is not something to be found in the future or in what is lost. It is right here, right now. So, cherish the present, the people you love, and the experiences you are living through. This is where true happiness lies. This story reminds us that life is a journey, and the most valuable moments are often those we overlook. When we realize that the present moment is the greatest gift, we can live a life free from regrets and full of peace and gratitude. Just as the young disciple found clarity and wisdom, we too can learn to appreciate each passing moment. As the saying goes, tomorrow never comes, yesterday never comes back. Understanding loss and letting go. A Buddhist perspective. In life, loss is something we all experience. Whether it's missing an opportunity, losing a loved one, or simply facing setbacks along the way, the pain can feel overwhelming. It's easy to get lost in regret, anger, and sorrow. But what if I told you that the way you look at loss could change everything? Let me share a story that might help shift your perspective. Once, there was a young woman who had worked tirelessly for many years. Her dream was to earn a Ph.D. in biology and one day become a leading researcher in the field. She had faced many challenges along the way, failing the entrance exam twice, barely scraping by financially, and even studying while going hungry. Yet, Her determination and resolve never wavered. Finally, after many years, she completed her dissertation and was offered a job at a prestigious research center. It was everything she had worked for, but there was a catch. The job was located far away, and there was only one position available. If she didn't make it to the interview on time, the opportunity would be lost forever. With her heart racing, she hurried to the airport, knowing that this could be the moment that would shape her future. The opportunity she had waited for her entire life was just within reach. But fate had other plans. As she was making her way to the airport, traffic caused a delay and she missed her flight. She stood there in the airport, overwhelmed with despair. Her dream had slipped away and she didn't know how to cope with the crushing disappointment. In that moment, the pain was unbearable. She felt lost, unsure of what to do next. She sat there, paralyzed by regret, thinking that perhaps life wasn't worth living anymore. But just as she was about to give in to her grief, a sudden commotion filled the air. People were talking in hushed voices. Some were crying. She overheard them saying that the flight she had missed had crashed shortly after takeoff. Her heart stopped. In that moment, all the sorrow she had felt about missing the interview turned into a strange sense of relief. She wasn't sure whether to feel happy or sad. On one hand, she mourned the lives of those who had perished in the crash, but on the other hand, she felt grateful that she had been spared. She had missed the flight, but it had saved her life. This is a powerful reminder that sometimes what we perceive as a loss might, in fact, be a hidden blessing. Life doesn't always go as planned, but that doesn't mean it's the end. It might just be a turning point, an opportunity to look at things from a different perspective. In Buddhism, we are taught to understand the impermanence of life. Nothing stays the same forever. Loss is a natural part of existence, but it is also part of the cycle of change. As the Buddha said, all things are impermanent. They are constantly changing and nothing lasts forever. When we hold on too tightly to what we think we've lost, we only create suffering for ourselves. What if, instead of clinging to the past or what could have been, we let go and embraced the present moment? What if, instead of feeling sorry for ourselves, we trusted that the universe has a plan even when we can't see it? This story also highlights the importance of being in the present moment. Often, when we experience loss, we get so caught up in regret or frustration that we forget to appreciate what we still have. The things we have in the present, our breath, our health, the relationships we cherish, are the most valuable things we possess. As the famous Yogi Sadhguru once humorously pointed out, if you lose half of your money, you may feel like the world is ending. But if you block your nose and mouth for a few minutes, you'll quickly realize that what you thought was important wasn't nearly as crucial as the air you breathe. What can we learn from this? 1. Don't cling to the past. The past is gone. What's more important is how we respond to the present moment. Let go of the need to control everything and trust that life is unfolding as it should. 2. Embrace change. Life is full of ups and downs. Instead of fighting change, embrace it. Trust that every experience, good or bad, is an opportunity for growth. 3. Appreciate what you have. Focus on the present. What you have right now, your health, your relationships, your breath, is more valuable than anything you could lose. As the Buddha taught, the future has not yet come, and the past is already gone. Only the present moment is yours. And in that present moment, when we find peace and acceptance, we find true happiness. We no longer mourn what we've lost, but celebrate what we still have and what we can create in the future. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by loss or disappointment, thank you for watching. As we come to the end of this video, I want to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude to you for being here and watching until the very end. Your time, your attention, and your willingness to open your heart to these teachings means so much to me. I truly hope that the stories and wisdom shared today have brought a sense of peace, clarity, and comfort to your heart. May these teachings help you find a lighter path, grant you restful sleep, and guide you toward a more peaceful and joyful tomorrow. Remember, life may have its ups and downs, but with the right mindset, each challenge is an opportunity to grow and find inner peace. If you found value in this video, I invite you to subscribe to the Buddhist Teachings channel so you can join us for even more wisdom, inspiration, and stories that will uplift your spirit and enrich your journey. I'm committed to bringing you the most meaningful teachings so you can continue to build a life of peace and fulfillment. Thank you again for being a part of this community. I look forward to sharing more with you in our next video. Until then, take care, stay mindful, and may peace always be with you.